high-tech oils, available from Auto One, Sprint Auto Parts, and all leading independent auto stores.
One of the most dedicated family racing outfits to contest the Shannons Nationals are the Queensland-based Sherrin family of brothers Grant and Ian. Along with their father Michael, the brothers have been loyal supporters of the Australian Manufacturers Championship in recent years. This weekend sees the Sherrin Rentals BMW team in a unique situation. With Grant Sherrin leading not only the Class B standings, he also leads the outright championship by only 36 points. He would love nothing better but to claim that elusive national title in a Class B car and beat his Class A rivals at their own game.
I don't believe it's been done yet, so hopefully we can be the first to do that. Bates is a good driver, and as you see at Winton, he went out there and he kept it consistent, quite quick times, and we were unable to touch him. So, you know, he's very fierce and competitive there with Bob. You can't rule out Berwick either. He's had some good history here at Eastern Creek. I think he won it last time we were here. So, and he's always fast. So them guys are there, and then you got Dylan Thomas obviously coming in this round as a one-off, and he's there to prove a point from last time. So it's going to be tough up there. It's going to be a tough day.
Supporting his brother all the way for the entire season, Ian Sherrin is equally dedicated in achieving that championship goal for the family. Whilst that long overdue outright race win would mean a lot, Ian admits winning the AmChamp titles would mean a lot more.
Yeah, you're right, it would be, but we would like to get a race win if we could. We've been striving for that for a few years now. So look, we want the championship, but to do that with a race win would just be perfect. We're not the fastest car out there. The A-class cars are fast. We've got some good things with our car, like it handles really well, and we're very consistent. Grant and myself are very close in lap times, and we're very consistent when we're out there, and that's been the real key to our success.
The Sherrin brothers have been the most consistent team all year long. The pair describe their successful partnership as being equals and scoff at the thought of any favouritism between them.
Oh, you can't say that, you know, it's been the whole year, it's about us being consistent as a team and as drivers being close in our lap times, and the whole team, you know, they've put in a bloody great effort over the 12 months to get us where we are today. It's not about one person in the team, it's the whole team winning the championship.
Well, you know, you always like to say yourself, but you know, in all fairness, like, we're very even. Grant's a bit quicker, you know, usually in qualifying, obviously he's got the points. But, you know, there's other traits in the race. There's other things that need to be done. You know, looking after the car in the middle of a 4-hour. You know, that's probably my traits. I look after it quite well. Send him in at the end for the fast laps, you know. So as a team, that's where it comes into play.
So the final race of the Australian Manufacturers season, and indeed the current era of production car racing in Australia. The cars are on the grid, forming up, ready to go on board throughout, including this car, the Audi TT RS, where Mark Eddy will be joined by V8 supercar ace Dean Fiore. They will be a contender. Great to see some Aussie muscle back in the field. SS Commodore, and this combination, the Sherrin Rentals racing team, they're gunning for a championship. Grant and Ian Sherrin. And an outright championship awaits these guys today, the Queensland-based team. Here's the grid. It's Rick Bates from pole with Bob Pearson in the 33 product car. Evo's alongside them, the first of the BMWs from the third row of the grid, and a competitive field behind, ready to go racing.
With the Australian Manufacturers Championship still very much alive, the next 4 hours around Sydney Motorsport Park would provide a real challenge for the championship protagonists. As predicted, the Evo 10 Lancers of Rick Bates and Stuart Costera would lead away from the start before the Product Lancer assumed the race lead by turn 1. The Alfira BMW of Berwick Linton fell into third, with the Sherrin BMW close behind.
So good start for the Mitsubishi Brigade. They launched themselves in front with that four-wheel drive grip and traction. And they're 1 and 2. Costera just in behind Rick Bates, the triple Australian Manufacturers champion. Watches the leader out in front. Out for revenge this weekend. 2 years ago, denied victory cruelly at the end of the motor race. Costera and Thomas He won it last year with Gary Holt, but he'd love to get a victory with Dylan and this CXC Global team. And there's Jake Camilleri, the Grand Prix Mazda 3 MPS from Queensland. The Sherrans up to 4th. Good start from the BMW crew. The Audi TT has dropped some spots. 6th place. Awesome sounding car. 5-cylinder engine out in front. Still in the very early phases of its development. This entry made its debut at Wakefield Park in October. This will be its first real long endurance test in AmChamp competition. It's involved in a pretty heady battle with Jake Camilleri, the Queenslander named in the top 10 Shannon's Nationals drivers of all time, which was a great accomplishment for a class runner in production car racing. Shows how hard he drives the front-wheel drive car up against the four-wheel drive turbos and the big rear-wheel drive V8s that were such a feature in production car racing for so many years. Good first lap, nice and clean. Everyone sorts themselves out. There's a lot of racing to go. 4 hours around a tough, challenging circuit like Sydney Motorsport Park. Evos 1 and 2, BMW next. We're following a battle with an Audi, a Mitsubishi and a Mazda going at it. That's part of the appeal of production car racing. As we go on board with the Sherrans, the 135i BMW, Class B car, but an outright contender in every sense of the word. And Grant Sherran leads the AmChamp points race coming into this weekend. Just needs a solid finish. Rick Bates a long way back in the Product car. He's in contention. There's still a lot to play out, but just needs to get this car to the finish in a solid position, and he'll still be in the game. Tony Alford, Donut King, 1M, another contender. He's in contention for the Class A battle, which is the high performance production class. So we see one of the Renault Megans go down the inside. Network clothing entry. The Renaults have been such a good car for so long in AmChamp competition. And behind them, the Petter's suspension outfit, the little Toyota 86, a car that really does punch above its weight. It's the only Class D car here this weekend. They'll be hoping for a strong, consistent run to get themselves up the order. They've already wrapped up that Class Championship, so they're going for pride this weekend, and their big supporter base here. Collection of 86s at the track watching on. Really energising that Toyota fan base. Dramas for Berwick Linton. He's had a horrible season. It's been really tough. And there's smoke pluming from the Alvera Bruce Linton BMW 1M. He dropped a spot to the Sherrans. This is the last thing you want to occur early in a long distance motor race. It's been a really tough year for Berwick Linton and his team. And it looks like it's going to get tougher. This looks terminal for the BMW, and his race is going to end very, very early.
The Alfera BMW would pit the very next lap, driving straight into the garage and out of the race. It was a bitter blow for the defending champion as his title aspirations came to an end.
It's lost a timing cover off the front of the engine. Put oil out, the oil takes the belt off. The boys can fix it, and they put a new cover in, but it's gone in too easily, so we risked it. It's just going to do it again, and we don't want to damage the engine, so we've decided to park it and take it home and fix it properly and get it ready for the 6 hour.
There would be more drama shortly after Linton's retirement, this time affecting the Product team. The team's second car of Evergreen veteran Bruce Stewart and Jason Walsh was blowing a lot of smoke from the front right wheel and was called into the pits on lap 17, where more problems arose.
So dramas at Product, looking at the right front brake, and it's hot work down there. This plays pretty hard on brakes, and that's proof. A lot of flame from the Product outfit. They're struggling to get the car stopped. Big brake temperatures here up at turn 2 and turn 8 at the hairpin. You can see the flame just licking away the bottom of that caliper. And this removes the rear gunner that Bob Pearson and Rick Bates were hoping to utilise in this fight for the Australian Manufacturers Championship. Removes one of the key contenders in the motor race. Could well be day done for car 30 from Product Racing.
Despite the retirement of two outright contenders, the race would settle down into a pattern, with the Bates-Pearson Lancer leading from Costera and Thomas and the Sharon BMW in third. As the first hour ticked over, the first round of pit stops began, with Costera pitting the CXC Global Lancer on lap 33. Despite issues with tyre pressures during his stint, Costera was relatively happy.
Good, mate. The car started off pretty well, and I think we might have had a bit too high tyre pressures because halfway through that stint you just started to slide a lot, and it was a case of managing the tyres from there on.
Following Costera's pit stop, the Class C leading Mazda 3 of Jake Camilleri would pit from 5th position 2 laps later, handing the car to Hadrian Morale. Bates would stay out for another 5 laps before he pitted on lap 40 to hand the car over to Bob Pearson. The Sharon Rentals BMW would soon be elevated into the lead and would be the last of the front runners to pit on lap 48. Grant Sharon jumped out and brother Ian jumped in. With the championship up for grabs, Grant Sharon was playing it cool after his stint.
Yeah, everything's going all right so far. It's punching along all right. There's a few little gremlins still there, but yeah, it's going all right. We're being consistent anyway. That's what we need to do. We need to kind of stay in that with the lead 2 cars. So hopefully we can stay there.
Good fuel economy in the Sharon Rentals BMW. So they're going longer than the Mitsubishis in this race on fuel strategy. I'm not sure if it'll mean they'll be able to complete the race on one less stop than the leading cars, but they really don't need to, because on raw speed, it's unlikely they're going to catch those Mitsubishis. But if they can circulate, get themselves on or near the podium, it looks like the outright championship will go their way. On board with Mark Eddy. And this is dramatic. Championship leader in pit lane. What's going on with the Sharon team?
Which one, Jimmy?
So big dramas for car 18. Grant with the headset on. Frantic work. The rear corner. And we're hearing there could be suspension issues on this car. So the championship dice rolls. And all of a sudden, things get very dramatic here at Sydney Motorsport Park.
With the Sharon team frantically salvaging their championship chances, the direction of the race changed on lap 62, when the Product Lancer suffered a delaminated front right at turn 5 and pitted the next lap. This setback would drop them briefly to second before they reclaimed the lead after Dylan Thomas pitted 5 laps later. Having fixed the suspension on the Sharon Rentals BMW, Ian Sharon rejoined the race 7 laps down on the leaders and sitting in 10th place, just ahead of the Donut King BMW, which played no part in the outright standings due to turbo issues. The race would again settle down until lap 82, when the GWS personnel BMW of William Couchy tried too hard and sideswiped the tyre wall at the late corner, bringing out the safety car for 5 laps. Racing resumed on lap 87 when the defining moment of the race happened as they passed the strike.
So we're on for a restart after the first safety car in the Australian 4-hour. And we're underway, and it's Bob Pearson under pressure from the CXC Global car that sweeps around the outside and rockets to the lead. It almost looked inevitable, and after that puncture for the Product car, it really did hand the strategic advantage to CXC Global Racing, and they've got the pace to back it up. So car 68 goes to the race lead. And Bob Pearson back to second place. However, with the Sharons a long way down the order, the championship all of a sudden looking like it's swinging in the favour of Rick Bates. So they need to be consistent now. All of a sudden, the boot is on the other foot, and it's the Product team that needs to be fast and consistent and get to the finish, because Rick Bates is in a really good position all of a sudden to take a very, very surprise outright championship. The Sharons have got it all to do. They need to carve their way through the field. Rick Bates watches on as his team leader laps the car in second place.
The next retirement was the Grand Prix Mazda of Camilleri and Morale on lap 91, when the turbo let go while sitting in 4th place, handing the Class C lead to the Network Clothing Renault of Francois Joy and Frank Donoghue.
Yeah, everything was going to plan. We just had Haydo in there for another 20 minutes or so, and then I was back in. I could really push hard at the end there, so yeah, we were looking really good.
With the CXC Global Lancer now comfortably out in front, the Product Lancer was holding on to second place and in the box seat to hand Rick Bates the championship. As the clock wound down, the luck for the Sherrin Rentals team would completely change with 20 minutes to go.
So at the moment, the Sherrins aren't going to do it. They're going to fall a position short of winning the championship. It's been an amazing comeback drive, but they need one more position. Otherwise, they'll lose it by the skinniest of margins to Rick Bates, who just needs to circulate, but the pace in that Product car is not good. And limping and in pit lane. And it's never a good sign when the bonnet is up and there's fluid pouring out from the cooling system of that car. Massive dramas, a shake of the head, and it could be day over for Product. The swings in this championship. The Sherrins have gone from having it almost locked up to losing it, and now they're going to be back in the game with just a few laps to go. Unbelievable stuff in Sydney.
Bates' retirement would elevate the Audi TTRS of Mark Getty and Dean Fiore into second, and the Renault moving into third and a podium place. Having stayed out of trouble all day, the Petters Racing Toyota 86 would benefit greatly by reliability and the misfortunes of others. Fourth place and first in Class D was a great way to avenge the dramas that befell them in the same race last year. After 4 hours of racing, the CXC Global Lancer Evo played its cards right, and with a 2-lap lead, they were cruising to the checkered flag.
The shame for this race is that the final result sheet won't show how close and intense it's been the whole way around. What a fight. What an amazing battle. Product v CXC at the front. They've been trading the lead in this one, and then that underlying story of the championship battle throughout the day today. And theoretically, at least, the outright champion has changed 3 times. It's been a remarkable story. A 2-lap margin of victory in the end won't show how dramatic this final race of the AmChamp season has been. What a day for CXC Global Racing. For Dylan Thomas, who puts a lot of time, energy and effort, money into his racing program and does it very successfully and very professionally. And for the triple champ, Stuart Costera, the 3rd driver, ranked in the Shannons Nationals top 10 drivers of the last decade. One of the very best there's ever been. Won 3 of these championships. So good in the Mitsubishi product. But this win will be sweeter more so for what happened here 2 years ago when a red light at the end of pit lane stopped this combination from getting a victory. And this will be revenge, and it'll be really, really sweet for Dylan Thomas and Stuart Costera to wrap up the Shannons National season. A big woohoo from the cockpit. It's a victory in the Australian 4-hour for CXC Global Racing, for Dylan Thomas and for Stuart Costera.
Yeah.
And that will be satisfying. What a great team performance. And a long way down the road after a day of high drama, Ian Sherrin and his brother Grant will get the flag, and Grant will be the champion, the outright Australian Manufacturers Champion for 2015. And a Class B car beats them all. Remarkable story for the Queensland team. They ultimately finished the race in 6th. The winners were Mitsubishi, Audi 2nd, and Renault on the podium, home in 3rd place.
Yeah, it was good. I made sure I had to try and have a crack at his fastest lap, so that the car was good. We did halfway through the race. Stewie gave me my first stint. My tyres were rubbish, so we made a little change during that stop when we did 4 tyres, and I'll tell you what, it was a completely different car.
Wasn't it? Right, yeah.
Oh man, that was such a pleasure to drive that car at the end. It was just beautiful. Unfortunately, Bobby had a problem, which the boys told me I had to back out then, so I had to sort of conserve and just make sure we brought it home, so particularly after a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to happen, that's for sure, bloody hell, it threw everything at us this week, and the team's done a great job to get the car here and that extended pit stop. Jimmy done a great job getting the car back out there in that time frame, and And then we just had to push on and try and get that number 5 spot. And then I hear, it's a pity about the product car, but heard that came off and ridden it home nice and safely then.
Upsets across the board in the final standings for 2015. Tony Alford wins Class A, the high performance production class, in front of his BMW rival Berwick Linton, and Rick Bates in 3rd place. It's Grant Sherrin in front of brother Ian in Class B, with his dad Michael just in 3rd place. Jake Camilleri gets another Class C championship in the Mazda 3 MPS. Petters had Class D all to their own, and it was Andrew Turpey leading the way home and getting the big trophy. And outright, it was the Class B car doing the job overall, with Grant Sherrin leading Ian home at the end of a competitive season. That wraps up this instalment of our coverage of the Shannons Nationals from Sydney Motorsport Park. There's more to come before we wrap up the season. Don't forget to head to thenationals.com.au for more information about this great series.
Coming up after the break, we head to Winton Motor Raceway for all the major support action as part of round 6 of the Swan Insurance Australasian Superbike Championship.